Okay, hello for those who have joined in. Good afternoon to you. Hi, wherever you're joining from. Welcome to this defensive driving masterclass by Advanced Mobility. We are glad to have you here, and we'll make sure we give you some value for the time that you've set aside. So before we get into the masterclass, we'd just like you to put in the comments if you've lost anyone through a road accident in the last 12 months, whether a relative, a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor, please let us know. That's part of our research that we are continuously doing because we know that everyone is affected. So welcome very much to the Defensive Driving Masterclass. My name is Alex Monene. I'm going to be your trainer for today, and we'll be looking at defensive driving in sort of a crash course. That's what a masterclass is. It gives you a quick overview of what defensive driving is about. So the things that one of the foundations for this program is a quote from a road safety convention speaker, which basically says that no amount of road safety measures or engineering interventions is enough to prevent accidents along our roads if our drivers are not fully equipped with the knowledge on road safety. So basically what we are saying is that, yes, we know our road infrastructure has problems, we know our vehicles have problems, but ultimately, safety begins and ends with our road users and particularly with our drivers. One of the things that you realize in this class is that we talk about road users, not just drivers, because there's 4 key categories of road users. There is passengers, pedestrians, riders, and drivers. And of those groups, drivers is actually the smallest segment, yet it receives the most attention, and we like to give a broader, involve more of the other groups as well when we are talking about road safety. So who are we? Advanced Mobility is a Nairobi center that helps fleet operators and road users have safe and productive mobility. Our goal is twofold. We help fleet operators with fleet management functionality so that they're able to cut costs and improve their safety and their revenue as well. And then we help road users to be safe on the road through a number of training programs that we carry out. Most of them are advanced driving courses such as defensive driving, eco driving, and 4x4 driving. Our vision is to help organizations across Africa through high impact transformation. And that's mainly the 2 groups we talked about, fleet operators and road users. So we are available online through our website, social media channels. We're able to engage with us. So what's our background? We've been in the training space for a number of years, and we've trained all kinds of groups, from corporates to government organizations. And now we are turning our focus more to individuals. And the gap we are trying to close is that a lot of the trainings we offer are only available through an organization. So for example, if you are not a member of an organization which can get asked to train and put a class for you, then as an individual, you might not have access to the kind of training that we do. So we have decided to start doing a number of webinars on a monthly basis up to December, so that we raise awareness of the importance of equipping road users with high skills, so that we're able to improve the road safety problem on our road. So we've engaged many organizations, and now we hope that we can be able to help you as an individual to become safer on the road. So a lot of times people, when they hear defensive driving, they confuse it with security driving. So what is defensive driving? It's basically driving to save lives, time, and money, despite the conditions around you and the actions of others. So you see here, the road user, number one, takes primary responsibility for their road safety. They don't leave it to the other people who are using the road. So that's why we are saying, despite the conditions around you and the actions of others. So what's the difference of defensive driving and security driving? So security driving is basically having the skill to move from one point to another in a secure manner through a variety of potentially insecure environments. So this training is mainly targeted at people in the security industry, whether it is security guards or police officers or military officers, people in cash in transit vehicles, people carrying valuable cargo, VIP drivers, and people offering security services. So anyone in that line of work, then it is important that they undergo some security driving training. But for the purposes of our engagement today, we'll be talking about defensive driving, which is how to be alert, how to make the right decision. So in truth, security driving has a bit of defensive driving in it, but security driving goes more into preventing things like theft, carjacking, and other crimes related, to security, kidnappings, and things like that. So we will be going through what defensive driving is about, and we hope that you'll be able to learn more with us today. So the primary problem that we are solving at Advanced Mobility is that in Kenya and in Africa in general, we have a big road safety problem. And in our engagement, you'll realize a lot of times we will refer to accidents as a road crash. Why? Because accident implies it is fate, that there is no prevention. But for us, we take the approach that it is a crash because it is a man-made occurrence. What is the size of the problem that we are dealing with? In Kenya, last year, over 3,600 people were killed on our roads. And as of June this year, I think NTSC have said over 2,000 people have been killed on our roads. So by all indication, it looks like this year, by the time it ends, we shall have exceeded 4,000 people dead on our roads for the first time ever. Those are not good numbers. Those are people's lives that we're talking about. Globally, the problem is even bigger because 1.3 million people die on our roads every day, annually, which means 5 people every 2 minutes. Basically, by the time we finish this masterclass by 3 o'clock, it means 150 people somewhere around the world will have died on the road, be it whether they were a driver, a rider, and mostly passengers and pedestrians, especially passengers, pedestrians. They are the biggest fatality group. The other big number is that 20 to 50 million people are left with injuries as a result of accidents. Most of them are incapacitated. They are not able to resume productive work. They become dependent, and accidents have actually driven a lot of families into poverty. So this is one of the statistics that we are trying to bring to the forefront, that the big risk when you leave your house every morning is not COVID-19, is not insecurity, but it is actually on the road. As you travel, as you move to work, to school, and any other engagements. What certainties do you have that you will get back home safely? So as we try and answer that question, then we try and give some numbers so that we can see how we are doing as a country. So in this table, you can see that Kenya as a country has a vehicle population of just above 2.1 million. So our motorization rate, which is vehicles per 100,000 kilometers, is 29. So compare with other countries like in Africa, like Ghana, which has 32 vehicles per 100,000 people. Brazil, one of the big South American countries with 350 vehicles per 100,000 people. India and United Kingdom. But where the numbers now really take a negative turn is when we start looking at the road fatalities. With our very small vehicle population, we are killing more people per 100,000 people than the countries with more vehicles than us, with a bigger population than us. So you can see Kenya has a fatality rate of 29 people per 100,000 people, and also 640 people per 100,000 vehicles. You cannot even start comparing these numbers with a country like the United Kingdom, Britain, some people call it, where the fatality is 3.1 per 100,000 people or 5.7 per 100,000 people. We are, several hundred times higher than that, and we need to find out what is the cause of this poor performance on our roads. One of the biggest ones is the training that we have. I think most of us are aware that driving schools in Kenya have almost a zero failure rate. No one fails in our driving schools. That's a big problem because you cannot have everyone passing. So it means there's a lot of people with poor skills who are on the road. We have very weak enforcement of traffic laws. So people get away with a lot of things, which now creates a culture where people continue certain behaviors. This is not even the big challenge. Now you can imagine that every year, more vehicles are added on our roads and our population is growing. So does that mean that our motorization rate will keep on increasing? Automatically, then it means that we shall keep losing more people on our roads. In fact, losses due to road accidents are estimated to be 3% of GDP of a country. So, for example, in the case of Kenya, we are losing almost 3 trillion shillings as an economy due to all the effects of road accidents, the damage to vehicles, the injuries to people, the hospitalization, the repairs, the lost cargo, the lost productivity, human resource. All those are costing our economy almost 3 trillion shillings. That's like a third of our debt as a country. So you can see how serious this problem is. In fact, we have become so used to losing people on the roads that people assume it is almost a normal thing, that it is fate, that if you go and not come back in the evening, then fate was not on your side. But we have seen from our research and from other research which has been carried out that 90% of accidents, over 90%, are caused by human error. And every time someone dies on the road, then that is an error that could have been prevented, that was not addressed. So our goal is to go upstream and find out, before these drivers get on the road, are we able to upskill them so that families are not losing their relatives, their breadwinners, people are not losing their personnel, their team members, their neighbors, their community members, because of road accidents that could have been avoided. In fact, of late, it's been, like we said, this year, the numbers are increasing because we are seeing accidents where 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 people in one accident are dying. And yet, we don't go back to do a proper root cause investigation into how we got into this in the first place. Actually, road accidents are they are the leading cause of death for people between 5 to 29 years. Not HIV, not drugs, not COVID and any other thing, but road accidents. And even in Kenya, the study showed that 1 in 5 people who die are below the age of 20. So we are also losing our future generation because of road accidents. And especially for children, it's more serious. Why? Because number one, they don't understand traffic rules very well, and then they don't have the ability to cope with complex traffic situations. So they are more likely to make a mistake. And lastly, they are also easily distracted. So they can be in a lot of danger without realizing it. So we'll mention to you what advanced mobility is trying to do as far as the school kids are concerned at the end of this discussion. But for today, let's proceed with the defensive driving discussion. We have two images in this slide that we'd like to have a discussion on so that we understand the kind of culture that we're dealing with. The image on the left is Ukraine, February of this year, when the war broke out and Ukraine was getting bombed. This is the capital city, Kiev. So this was the mass exodus of people escaping a city which was being bombed. And you can see how organized they are, even as they are driving out of a war zone, trying to save their lives. The image on the right, as most of you might be aware, this is the Naivasha Road, Nakuru Naivasha Road, and these are Kenyans going home for Christmas. You can see how chaotic it is. These are not people trying to save their lives. These are people just in a rush to get home, to relax or to have some fun or to meet with their friends and relatives. This is the kind of impunity and culture that makes our roads very unsafe. And in defensive driving, we keep on saying that even if you are a great driver, you are sharing the road with many others who are not. So much as most of us or some of us can be very good drivers, the other driver on the road is a very risky driver to you. The other road users as well, the pedestrians, the riders, and the passengers, they are all contributing to this problem. So we need to address it from a culture perspective, even as we address the other root causes of the situation that we have as a country. So what are the objectives of defensive driving? So firstly, we teach people how to evaluate road conditions, how to anticipate the actions of other drivers and also other road users. And then we give actions to take to avoid accidents, and we teach road users how to monitor their own driving performance. Basically, we teach people how to make decisions while they're on the road, because what driving schools do, they teach you how to move a car, but most of them don't teach you how to make decisions while you're on that road, and that's what we focus on. In fact, a lot of times you'll find we'll spend so much time in this course discussing about decision making and how it affects what happens rather than talking about the actual driving itself. What are the outcomes of the defensive driving course? Number one is to improve safety of the individual and of other road users, to save lives as well. Actually, it's to save even other people's lives, because especially as a driver, you are more likely to kill other people than to be killed yourself. Because like you said, pedestrians comprise the largest portion of road fatalities. And then it's also to save money, because number one, when we have an accident, we have to vehicles to repair, insurances need to take up a lot of some of these costs, whether it is vehicle repair, injuries. Actually, accidents have driven many families to poverty, especially when it involves the breadwinner. And then lastly, it is to improve yourself. When you become a safer driver, then you're able to enjoy your day-to-day activities more. And for those who drive as a career, then you're able to become better skilled so that you're able to perform at a higher level in your work. So what are the fundamentals of defensive driving? There are three main fundamentals that we go on in much detail in the longer course. And the first one is attention. Second one is anticipation or communication. And the third one is impaired driving. In attention, we say that this is has become the most scarce resource. If you compare driving in 2022 and maybe 20 years ago, the current driver has many more distractions, even the road user, right from their phone, which has social media, which has music, and other engaging stuff, from the vehicle itself, which has videos and music, from the road, which has billboards and many other, interesting things that you can see, that there's a lot more things that are competing with our attention. But the fact remains that we need a good capacity of our brain focusing on the road and the decisions that we're making so that we're able to be safe on the road. So as far as attention is concerned, we're going into exercises to show you how that attention is diverted from the road. And one of the very interesting ones we do is that there's a test where we give our participants and they're able to analyze a video and give feedback on what's happening. And most of them miss some very critical details, despite that the video is playing right on the screen and the information was there, but they miss it because the way the video is recorded, it's there's a lot of things to focus attention to, and when you focus on one thing, then you're not able to see the other information that forms part of the question. The second fundamental of defensive driving is communication. Why? Because you are sharing a public road with other road users. So they need to know what actions you are taking. You need to alert them of your presence so that you are safe and they're also safe. We go into a lot of details on this, starting with the performance of the vehicle itself, the dynamics of vehicles. We talk a lot about things like understeer, oversteer, sitting position, how you're able to control basically the physical forces which affect a vehicle while it's moving. These are things that you will never learn in a driving school, but yet they affect the vehicle on a day-to-day basis. We talk about braking distance, which is a combination of thinking, we talk about stopping distance, which is a combination of thinking distance and braking distance. What do we mean? That when you try to stop a vehicle, number one, there's what we call a thinking distance. How long does it take for you to process that information and to react? That is affected by a number of things. And then there's the actual stopping distance of the vehicle, which is affected by the type of the vehicle, the road surface, the load that is being carried, the mechanical condition of the vehicle, and many other things. One of the things which we tell our participants is that you can overload a vehicle by putting extra weight on it or by underinflating the tires. So if you're not checking the tires on a regular basis, then when the tires become underinflated, the same thing that happens on an overloaded vehicle will happen on you. You will have less steering control, you will have a longer braking distance. And then thirdly, we discuss in depth about impaired driving. One of the surprising things that people don't know about impaired driving is that fatigue is a bigger risk on the road than drunk driving. Yes, I know we think that drunk driving is the worst thing that can happen, but fatigue is actually worse. Why? Because fatigue accidents have no avoidance. You see, in the case of drunk driving, if the vehicle loses, if the driver tries to respond, he has a delayed reaction, but at least he has a reaction. But in the case of fatigue, when the driver gets fatigued and the body and the brain goes to sleep, there is no avoidance. So even if you're a parent and it is your child who was on the road and you become fatigued, you will not even try and steer away from them. That is how serious fatigue accidents are. And what's the number one indication of a fatigue accident? You will find an accident scene without any brake marks, that a vehicle just came and hit whatever that was ahead of it. There was no skid marks or braking marks. That is one of the big red signs that this was an accident caused by fatigue. This one especially applies to people who do long distance driving or people who may be impaired through other means like medical, if they're taking medicines, they have some medical conditions. But of late, more impairment is coming through psychological aspects. You find people having, the psychological state is not stable. We keep talking about mental health. They are disturbed by other issues. So they are distracted, yet they are on the road. as drivers, as riders, as passengers, or as pedestrians. So as we look at the impairment of human beings, then there are some certain principles that we like to emphasize in defensive driving. Number one is that people are fallible, that even the best staff or the best workers or the best drivers make mistakes. No one is too good not to make a mistake. So even the people who are very experienced on a particular road, they will still make a mistake. So our goal is to try and reduce or have a countermeasure in those situations where they are likely to make a mistake. The second thing is that error situations are predictable, manageable, and preventable. That means that every time an accident happens, there are certain factors which contributed to that accident happening. We explain more what is called the Heinrich triangle and talks about the buildup of near misses to minor accidents to major accidents to fatalities, which shows that accidents are actually predictable. And this is what leads to what in some areas we call black spots, that the factors around that place in the road, whether it is the geography of the area, plus the condition of vehicles and any other factors, contribute to make that place more high risk than any other place. That's why it's called a black spot. Thirdly, individual behavior is influenced by the organization. Remember the last example I gave about Ukraine and Kenya. If you take those drivers in Ukraine and bring them to Kenya, within a year they'll be driving like the same Kenyans, overlapping. Why? Because they have found a culture which allows that kind of behavior. Fourthly, performance is based largely by reinforcement from especially leaders and peers. Why? Because the leaders set the tone and set the base for the culture, and there's what we call peer pressure, peer influence. A lot of matatu drivers have certain pressure to drive in a certain way, much as they know better. And then lastly, understanding the reason why mistakes and accidents occur can prevent them happening in future. Here is basically taking an aviation approach. Anytime you find an aeroplane has crashed, you'll never find the aviation industry saying that was fate. They do a very detailed investigation, sometimes going months, if not years, to find out why did this accident occur? What were the factors that contributed to it not being avoided in the first place? And it is said that every airplane accident makes aviation safer because the lessons they pick from that, they make sure that those set of factors should never happen again. They update their training programs. Aeroplanes update the engineering and their software to prevent that kind of a mistake happening again. But look at our roads. What happens when we have an accident? We just quickly remove the vehicles because of traffic, take the people to hospital, start helping them with the bills or arranging funerals. No one goes back to do a proper study on why accidents occur in a particular place and how to prevent them and how to take those learnings and apply them on a national scale. So, and then apart from that, we look at driving attitudes, and there are three main positive attitudes we focus on. That is road courtesy, responsibility, and respect to the law. And then we also teach road users to focus on the negative ones so that if they find themselves exhibiting this kind of behavior, then they know that they need to change their driving style. For example, road rage, low self-esteem, showing off, arrogance, or disrespect to law. So for every category, you will find, for example, disrespect to law, matatu culture and PSV culture have made this their, like their identifier that they cannot follow the queue, they have to overlap. Arrogance, you will find probably government vehicles on the wrong side just because it's a GK. Show off, people with fast vehicles, zooming around. Low self-esteem, you'll find probably someone, especially lady drivers or people with an L sign, even when they're on the right, they are very unsure about themselves. And road rage, we've talked about mental issues. People have many issues even as they're on the road. So when someone cuts them off, then they are likely to have a very bad reaction because they already have other problems they are dealing with even before that situation came about. So the defensive driving course by advanced mobility was introduced to capture this group that is not able to access training from an organization. Because right now in Kenya, if you are not part of an organization which can arrange this training for you, you cannot walk into any training provider and say, I want to do a defensive driving course. You have to go when there's a group. So for the first time, we have launched an e-course after doing years of physical training for defensive driving. So how does this work? It comprises of 8 learning modules where someone watches videos just about 1.5 hours long. They are broken down into micro videos, so some are 2, 3, 4 minutes. And after that, the participant is able to do an online assessment. When they pass the assessment, which has different kinds of questions, from multiple choice to true and false to arithmetic questions. For example, we ask, for example, are you able to convert kilometers per meter, kilometers per hour to meters per second? Because we realize that when we calculate distance in meters per second, then people are able to appreciate speed much better than when you're talking about kilometers per hour. And then, so once you pass that online assessment, then one is able to book a day for the practical module. So again, it's not a driving course without what? Without a practical. So we still have a practical, but we've made it easy such that one can do the e-course. Once they pass the online assessment, then they will get a link to book a day to do the practical. So we normally have practicals, whether it's once or twice a month, that you can be able to book on the day that is convenient for you, so that you can come and do a day of practical assessments and exercises to reinforce the learning that was in the theory part of the defensive driving. And after that, you get a completion certificate that can help you in your day-to-day, mobility and movement. So I know a lot of times people have questions. For example, I already have a driver license. Do I need to take the e-course? Yes, because defensive driving is an advanced driving course. Actually, for you to do the practical, you need to have a driving license first. So we are not teaching you how to drive. We are teaching you how to drive better, how to make decisions while you're on the road. That's the first thing. Secondly, defensive driving, is it about improving my security on the road? We've explained that there's a difference between defensive driving and security driving, but defensive driving is the foundation course for security driving because it teaches you to be more alert and to be able to scan the environment and make the appropriate decisions in good time. We talk about hazard perception, we talk about a safe gap, and a 3-second gap. We explain all that in the defensive driving course. Now, a question we get a lot of times, I've been driving on the road for a lot of years. Why should I take a defensive driving course? I can tell you that we've trained many people, some who've even been driving for over 30 years, but they've been making a mistake and not knowing it. And when they go through the course is when they realize the kind of mistakes that they were making. So I can tell you for sure that even if you've been driving for 50 years, if you've never taken a defensive driving course, there's a lot of things that you didn't learn in driving school and you've not learned on the road. Of course, your experience and your skill might be good, but we will make sure that you actually are safe defensive driver because we focus on your decision making. How long is the course? We've explained the e-learning part is about 1.5 hours. You don't need to do it all of at once, and then one day for the practical. If you don't know how to drive, is this course suitable? Yes, it is, because we say this is about decision making. You can still do the e-learning part and come and attend the practical, even if you will not drive, but you will be part of the practical exercises and see how we are doing them. It helps you to become a safer road user. Is a course mainly for large companies and organizations? No. We all use the road, and even if you are a good driver, then you need everyone else to be a better driver as well, so that we are all safe on the road. And that's why we're offering these two individuals to be able to reach as many people as possible. How long will I have access to the course? You have lifetime access. How about that? So once you register for the course, for the rest of your life, if you need to do a refresher of some information, you still have access to the course. Can I request a refund? Definitely. If you do the full course, including the practical, and you're not satisfied that we gave you value, one of the things at Advanced Mobility is that we shall give you a full refund for the course. And then do you issue a driving license at the end of the training? No, we don't. We said we are not a driving school, we are an advanced driving institution. So we give you a certificate of completion for the advanced course you've taken. In this case, defensive driving. What's the minimum age required to take the course? That is 18 years, which is the same age for you to have a license. Do I get access to the course immediately after registering? Yes. This is an online course. Immediately you register and pay up, you start learning at your own pace. You access the content on your phone, on your laptop. And if there's any questions which are not covered here, then feel free to contact us on those numbers or on our email. And on our website, you can also find our other contact options, including our social media handles. You can also follow us on social media so that you're able to get much more information about our activities on fleet management and road safety. So these are the landing page looks like. The course currently is hosted on a platform called ZD, the defensive driving course. This is a screenshot of how it looks like. And that's the link. So you can take a screenshot of this page for further reference. And right now, we're offering it at a promotion price of less than 15,000. So the regular price is 20,000 per person for the full course, including the practical. But for the month of September, we shall be offering it at a promotional price so that we try and improve the safety on the road and reach as many more people as possible. So that's the first link. ZD is a local learning platform like Coursera or Skillshare, for those of you who are conversant with those platforms. Now, if we have a request as Advanced Mobility, if you feel that you've gotten some value from this webinar as we are coming to an end, we have a link there, the second one, where we request that you can give us a positive review on our Google business page so that we're able to reach out to more people. And then the third link is if you are in an organization that requires some support in fleet management, we help organizations to review their processes, to review their structures. We carry out fleet management training and consultancy and advanced driver training as well, the courses that I mentioned to you about, so that those organizations are able to cut costs, improve profitability. So if you're in such an organization, then we are offering one free consultation to each organization. You can register on that link so that we are able to call you back, arrange that free consultation. And after that, if you want to proceed further with us, then we shall come to an agreement. If not, at least we shall have assisted you with that one free consultation. What else do we do as Advanced Mobility? We do the driver training that I've mentioned to you about. So what is eco-driving? Maybe you might need to ask. That is basically driving to save fuel. You can see the price of fuel now is very high. So driving in a manner that saves fuel, because fuel is the biggest operational cost when you have a fleet. 4x4 driving also is how to be able to utilize a 4x4 vehicle. Many people have 4x4 vehicles, but they don't know how to utilize them properly. They only use them, for town running. And if they're in the bush, they can easily get stuck or they can be involved in an accident because they don't know the limits of the vehicle. We also carry out driver assessment because many people have licenses, but they are not qualified. They got them through shortcut methods. So if someone is coming to an organization looking for an opportunity and they have a license, we're able to check the skill level of that person. I told you, I mentioned to you about what we're doing for kids in schools, and we are introducing a program called the Driving Academy. So this one is a program where kids are able to learn about road safety, and we even utilize simulators so that they're able to drive a real vehicle cockpit, but in a safe environment. The big difference between a vehicle simulator and a PlayStation game or video game is that the simulator penalizes someone if they drive badly. You know, in a video game, if someone crashes, they continue driving, so they never get to learn what in real life, what is the implication of having an accident and all those things that follow up from there, from rescuing the vehicle, rescuing the passengers or the cargo, the hospital process, the insurance process, if people died, the funeral process, and everything that affects people's lives because of one crash. It's not as simple as the kids think about it in a video game. So that's the kind of information that we try and give to them. And one more thing, we also help organizations as they transition to the future of fleet management, which we've used an acronym called CASE. C is for connected. Vehicles are becoming more internet connected. So that's a functionality that we help people to manage. Autonomous is driverless vehicles are coming up to try and reduce the human error, which causes most of the accidents. Shared mobility is basically all these mobility apps like Uber and Sendy and Bolt and many others that enable car sharing. And lastly is electric vehicles. Like in Kenya right now, we have 4 electric vehicle providers and more than 15 electric motorcycle, bicycle, and tuk-tuk providers in the market, and the number is growing. Actually, by 2035, most countries in Europe have and other parts of the world have banned, production of petrol and diesel vehicles. So it means even what we will be receiving as second-hand vehicles by 2040 will be largely electric vehicles. So we need to start transitioning to that as well. So as we conclude, just to show you part of our training team, the personnel who assist with ensuring that we give you a high quality of training and they deliver the promise that we've given you that you'll actually be safe on the road. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments. We have a Q&A session at the end. So if there's any question and comment, please let us know, either on the chat or by contacting us through either our phone numbers, our email, or our social media handles. On Twitter and on Instagram, we are at Advanced Mobility AF, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, we are Advanced Mobility Africa, and our website is advancedmobility.co.ke. So thank you very much for those who've been able to join us today. We appreciate your time. We would appreciate your feedback as well. And as we close the last few minutes remaining, let me put back this slide about the 3 links that I talked about for the e-course, the defensive driving e-course on ZD platform, the review of our page, and also for the organizations which would like to have a fleet management consultation. So otherwise, thank you very much, and we look forward to your help in reaching more people. We'll be having these webinars on a monthly basis up to December so that we help many more people become safer on the road. So thank you very much. My name is Alex Monene from the Advanced Mobility Center.